Hi, in this video I will show you the requirements for some basic functionality that is used a lot. And this is the functionality to see what's inside a root. So you can imagine that when you have this kind of root-based network, where you only have one line representing, all the stuff that's lying, in the ground. It's quite important that the user can kind of click on that and see what's inside it. And this is what I'm going to show in this video, what is important that they need to see. Um, and yeah, if I try to zoom in a little here. As an example, for example, if a planner wants to provide this area with fiber optic network, they will connect that new network to the existing network going here. So there's a trans here or underground route here with some conduits. And what they will do is that they will dig down to these conduits. And then they're going to put a junction on here. So they're going to dig down and basically open up one of the conduits and connect it to some other conduit that they're going to put in a trans down to the houses, right? So to be able to do that, of course, they need to know what's going on inside this route, what pipes are already occupied, and so forth. So that's of course a vital information. You can also imagine that if something happened here, someone dig down and make some damage on this, it's also very important that for example, the technician in the field or people who are gonna figure out how to repair this stuff, they can also click here and see what's actually going on in this route, what kind of uh, conduits are there and cables and so forth. So the functionality is that when you click here, we have to open up a window. So I'll just take this tool here in QGIS. I mean, it's not going to be QGIS, it's going to be a web-based solution, right? Uh, but um, um, but just for the sake of, yeah, there comes this one up here. Um, but you can also, I guess it will be something like it will be docked over here. I don't know. It's important that when you click here that they can get a window up and they still can see the map. And I'm gonna explain you why that's important. Okay. Anyway, I have a slide here where I'm gonna tell you what is a requirement in that UI. This is an example of uh, what could be inside a underground route. And if you see in the DS, this is actually what's placed here. So normally we label the routes like this, so when they look at the map from like this, they have an idea what's inside it. So they know here there's actually two multi conduits, or one of them is a type what known as a flatliner, and another type is what we call the multi-duct. And if you take the picture again here, the flatliner is a thing like this. That means it's flat. so the micro conduits are put inside like this. And the type of this is always something like you can see what type it is. And then there's the 6 times 12, 8. That means it's 6 inner ducts. And they are 12 millimeter on the outside and 8 millimeter on the inside. And this information is necessary because how big that hole is has something to do with how big fiber cables can you actually blow in them. So that's why you want that information. There's another information on these is something called a marking. In this case, you can see this black thing here. This is a black marking. And the reason that this is important is because you can imagine if you have many of these put in the same route, in the same trends, the technicians has to be able to differentiate them, which one is which. And if they were all the same, I mean, how can they know which one to use and which one to cut and so forth? So then they always mark them in some way. There are two ways to mark them, basically. Sometimes they mark them with some color. So they might have someone that, this one has a black, there might be someone with a green stripe and a blue stripe and so forth. Sometimes they mark them just by putting some text on. So, for example, there might be a text called AAA, BBB, CCC, and this way they know which one is which. It's depending on their telcos what they prefer. When they get these manufactured, they can specify the text that should be put on them, or maybe they want to just use the color codes on the on. So this is a bit different. But the thing is, you have a conduit, a multi-conduit, and it will have a marking, or maybe it will have no marking. So this is a flatliner. On the right here, we have another type, which we call that. Actually, it's a round type, but it's not completely round. This guy, but you can imagine it's bundled like this. And what they like to know is how big it is, the outer diameter, and again, what is inside it. That's 7 times a 1210 in a duct. So again, 12 millimeter on the outside and 10 millimeter on the inside of these. So if you take the DS again, this inside here, we actually have these two, right? Okay. Now, out here I have tried to explain what should happen when you click that root. How it should look like? I, I mean that's something I don't know. But this is what I kind of explain here is what kind of information is very important that they can see. So of course they have to get a list of all the conduits that are lying in that root. So in this case there's two, so there will be one, uh, um, some information about the first one and the next one and so forth. It would be really nice if they can show like a picture of the conduit like this, and also show which inner ducts or inner conduit are occupied like this. There's some systems that work like this, and some of them are. I mean, no one quite do this very well, but I think if we can find a way that we can both show it's graphical and this is in like a tabular, then it will be really, really nice. So when you can imagine when the user clicks, they get very quickly an overview what's inside this root, and both in terms of okay, there's some round pipes and some flat ones, and then they can also see some details. Regarding the details, it's very important because of course they need to know which one is occupied, and when it's occupied, they like to know what type of cables is inside it. So this case here is a 72 fiber cable. So it means it's a cable with 72 fibers inside it. And then it's very important they can see where this cable goes from and to. And also maybe some comment on what is this cable used for. So in this case here, you can see in the black inner duct, there goes a cable from this node to this node. So if you look in, if you take the DS, you can see this is actually a central office here and a central office here. So inside the black conduit that goes all the way down here, we have this cable. What is important to notice here is that this cable might actually go through many different pipes. So this actually pipe here, the conduit might be in many pieces, but they have kind of put the cable through it a long distance. So they have kind of connected them together. I don't know if that makes sense, but one functionality that is very important in this UI here, when it shows up when you have clicked on the root, that you can also click on these. Because when you click on this, for example, this number 3, and the cable here, it will show actually, it will mark this thing here in the map. So you know, okay, this goes from here to here. So you can imagine you have on the side here, you know, the cross-sectional view of the route. And when you click on things, you can actually see in the map where that stuff goes. Okay. This is a really neat functionality, a very, it's actually a needed functionality. Um, you can say that if you the the good thing about this here is that it's 100% read only. You cannot change anything. You can only see what's going on inside that route. Um, and so it should be, I don't know, it should be um, not that difficult to make. Um, um, and well, the requirement is basically it's fast, of course. When you click something, you have to get this view very fast, and then you'll be able to click on things to see how in the map how things are running. Um, and how this should be done, how it should be shown. Well, we have to experiment with that, and we can ask the user, the customer, I mean, um, how they like it. I know that the customer, if they're used to that, they can actually see the pipe like this. They like that, and of course they like this overview of what's inside what cables are put inside the pipes and where they go from and to. And actually also they might want to have other kind of views of it. For example, you can imagine if they dig over something, what they actually like is not only what pipes and what cables, but what customer are actually running inside these cables. So you can imagine this fiber here. There might be some fiber that's actually used and not used, so that you actually have more, a level more where you can actually maybe see um, on fiber level what's running through this route. But it could be some other kind of views that you can switch between or something like that. What I'm trying to tell you is that we're gonna probably um, I mean, we're gonna improve this stuff, and so we will create the basic stuff, the needed stuff for them to do their work. But we might improve this view so you can actually maybe see it in different ways depending on which kind of person you are. So you can imagine if you're a technician in the field, you might want to show things a little bit different. Or if it's a fault, if it's someone dig it over, you might want to see another kind of list of stuff. Maybe you want to maybe extract it to an Excel sheet or something like that. But overall, when you click on the route, we need to show all the conduits and what's inside these conduits. So I hope it makes sense. We have to discuss this how to do this. Uh, the data to drive this UI is coming from the equipment service. So the equipment service has an endpoint where you can say, okay, I have this route segment. Tell me what's inside this, and you will give back a JSON structure that kind of have all the information needed to you know create this UI. But there are some tricky things here, something about, you know, the types of conduits. You get a specification that says well, this kind of conduit is so big and it has so many inner conduits and they are so big and the order of them is such and such. So um, we have to kind of figure out, you know, also what kind of level of information we need to do things right. So we might, what I'm saying is the service we might to have to revise it to do what we need. Okay, yep, that's it.